Apple has spent years avoiding one trend that Samsung, Google, and other smartphone makers embraced long ago. But now, according to multiple leaks, Apple may finally be ready to launch the most anticipated iPhone in years, the folding iPhone. And if these leaks are accurate, this device could completely change Apple's future. But here's the surprising part. The biggest story isn't that Apple is making a foldable phone. It's why they waited so long. And by the end of this video, you'll understand exactly what Apple may be planning, why this device could be unlike anything we've seen before, and the one hidden detail that most people are completely missing. Let's dive in. For years, foldable phones felt like a futuristic experiment. Companies like Samsung pushed hard into the category with devices that transformed from phones into mini tablets. Other manufacturers followed with their own versions. Meanwhile, Apple stayed silent. No announcements, no previews, no foldable iPhone. Many people assumed Apple was simply behind. But that's probably not what happened. Apple has a long history of entering markets late and then completely reshaping them. They weren't first with smartphones. They weren't first with smartwatches. They weren't first with wireless earbuds. Yet somehow they often end up dominating categories after arriving years later. And that's where things start getting interesting. The first major leak suggests Apple has finally solved one of the biggest problems in foldable phones: the crease. If you've ever seen a foldable device in person, you've probably noticed the visible line running through the middle of the display. Even though foldable technology has improved dramatically, that crease has remained one of the biggest complaints. According to industry reports, Apple's engineering teams have been obsessed with eliminating or significantly reducing it. That sounds like a small detail. But for Apple, details matter. If Apple launches a folding iPhone, they don't want customers seeing it as a compromise. They want it to feel like magic. And that's a completely different goal. Now here's where things get even more interesting. Most leaks suggest Apple's foldable won't simply copy Samsung's design. Instead, Apple appears focused on creating a device that feels like a traditional iPhone when closed and a larger productivity device when opened. Think about that for a second. You're carrying one device, but depending on the situation, it can transform into something much larger. That could completely change how people consume content, browse the internet, read documents, and even work on the go. But that's only the beginning. Let's talk about concept number 3: durability. One reason Apple reportedly delayed entering the foldable market is reliability. Apple hates releasing products that don't meet long-term durability standards. Foldable screens experience stress every single time they're opened and closed. Over months and years, that adds up. According to leaks, Apple has been testing hinge mechanisms capable of surviving hundreds of thousands of folds. Why does that matter? Because Apple knows mainstream users aren't early adopters. They're everyday people, and everyday people expect their phones to last. Now pause for a second. Most people think the folding display is the biggest challenge. It's not. The hinge may actually be the most important piece of the entire device. Without an excellent hinge, everything else falls apart. Literally. And that brings us to concept number 4, the hidden engineering battle. Apple reportedly wants the foldable iPhone to be significantly thinner than many current competitors. That sounds simple. It's not. Every millimeter matters. Engineers have to fit batteries, cameras, cooling systems, processors, speakers, antennas, and display components into an incredibly tight space. Making a foldable device thin while maintaining battery life is one of the hardest engineering challenges in consumer technology today, and Apple appears determined to solve it. Now here's something most people don't know. This may not actually be about the iPhone. That sounds crazy, but hear me out. The folding iPhone could simply be a stepping stone. Apple's long-term goal may be perfecting flexible display technology for future products, including products we haven't even seen yet. Imagine future iPads, future MacBooks, or entirely new device categories built around flexible displays. Suddenly, the foldable iPhone becomes much bigger than a single product launch. It becomes a technology platform. And that's a massive insight most people are overlooking. Now let's move to concept number 6. The software advantage. Hardware gets headlines. Software wins markets. Apple's biggest strength has always been ecosystem integration. Leaks suggest Apple is exploring ways for apps to dynamically adapt as the device changes shape. Imagine starting an email on the front screen, then opening the phone and instantly expanding into a larger workspace. No interruption, no awkward transition, just seamless continuity. That's exactly the kind of experience Apple loves to create. And if they pull it off, competitors could face serious pressure. But there's another challenge: price. And this is where many viewers may be shocked. Foldable phones are expensive. Very expensive. Some current foldable devices cost well over $1,500. Apple products already sit at premium price points. So analysts expect the folding iPhone could become one of the most expensive consumer iPhones ever released. That raises an important question. Who is this device actually for? Which brings us to concept number 8. Apple may not be targeting everyone. At least, not initially. The first folding iPhone may be aimed at professionals, creators, business users, and technology enthusiasts willing to pay for cutting-edge innovation. This strategy would make perfect sense. Launch premium, refine the technology, then gradually expand adoption over future generations. Apple has used similar approaches before, and history suggests it works. Now here's a pattern interrupt. Imagine it's launch day. You walk into an Apple store. You've heard rumors for years. You've seen leaks for months. Then you finally hold the folding iPhone in your hands. The question isn't whether it's impressive. The question is whether it feels so different that it changes your buying decision. That's the challenge Apple faces. And that leads directly into concept number 9. Competition. Samsung isn't standing still. Neither is Google. Both companies continue improving foldable technology every year. By the time Apple enters the market, competitors may have several additional generations of experience. But Apple may be betting on something bigger: brand trust. When Apple launches a new category, millions of customers who ignored previous versions suddenly pay attention. We've seen that happen repeatedly. And if Apple delivers a polished experience, the foldable market could grow dramatically overnight. Finally, concept number 10. The launch timeline. Leaks continue pointing toward a release window sometime within the next few years, with development reportedly accelerating. Of course, Apple could still delay plans. That's happened before. But the growing number of reports suggests this project is becoming increasingly real. And if these leaks prove accurate, we may be witnessing the beginning of Apple's next major product era. So, what's the big takeaway? The folding iPhone isn't just another smartphone. It's potentially Apple's most ambitious hardware project since the original iPhone. The company appears focused on solving the biggest problems that have limited foldables for years: the crease, durability, thickness, battery life, software optimization, and overall user experience. If Apple succeeds, this device could push foldable technology into the mainstream faster than anyone expects. But if they miss the mark, it could become one of the company's biggest risks. Either way, the next few years are about to get very interesting. And considering what Apple may be building behind the scenes, the folding iPhone could be only the beginning. If you enjoyed this breakdown, keep an eye on the channel because upcoming leaks suggest Apple has even bigger surprises in development, and some of them could make the folding iPhone look small by comparison.